Whoa, 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 whoa. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome, guys. This is Vice Versa Live. Whoa. It is good to be back. It's definitely good to be back. So, guys, just readjusting myself and aligning myself accordingly. Okay, we got some new things going on here. It's great to be back. It is good to It's good to be back, and today we're going to be looking at some new things. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been going through what I would say is like a journey from you as a person to then navigating yourself through, I guess, navigate yourself through this digital jungle, and how you can optimize your searches. I think, the things we've gone through, LinkedIn, Indeed, Adzuna, all these are just really good examples of how to optimize, those searches and how you can really progress a lot faster. Because I think if you don't know, it's very easy to get stuck, and it's very easy to almost do the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. And what I'm trying to do is to educate, is to show and demonstrate exactly how you can win. So all those videos are there for you. And if you're new to the channel, if you're new to this video, if you haven't already, smash the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I hope everyone's had a fantastic week. It is the second week of March, and yeah, things are changing. Things are uplifting, things are moving forward, and in due time, we're going to be out of this lockdown. So I'm sure everyone is excited about that. One person's in the building, so that's fantastic. Let's see. Yo, hey Rahenna, how are you? So that's really, really good. So now, what I was going to really talk about in my initial start was just generally when you're applying for work and how you're going about applying for work. I think, just when you're applying for work, I think it's very, very important to plan your time. Because what I found, speaking to loads of different people, speaking to, different candidates, is a lot of people are finding the process of applying for work quite strenuous on their mind and their mental state. And I think when you are approaching work, you have to approach it in a way that is structured. I think that's one of the first key things I would say. You have to structure your time. You've probably heard the saying, and it goes without saying, looking for a job is an actual job. So you don't go to work, or you don't go to work with no time of when it actually starts or when it ends. There's a time when you start, there's a time allocated for a break, and there's a time allocated for when it's time to end. You need to also do the same for when you're doing work. Otherwise, it will not only impede on your mental stability, but also other areas of your life that that do need you. So like your family, your friends, and maybe other commitments that you have. So it's very important that you allocate time, meaning structure your time. I think what's really good about when you're applying for work is to have maybe like some sort of reward system. So when you have this reward system, you are going to what are you going to do? When you have this reward system, you're rewarding yourself for the work that you're doing. And that's ideally what you want. That's ideally what you want. You want to reward yourself for the work that you do. And obviously that's going to give you a lot of more encouragement and motivation throughout the day. Another tip I would say just on that is you are going to need to have some form of exercise. Because exercise is really good to start your day, let alone looking for work. So, as you know, or if you don't know, when you do exercise, it releases endorphins. And what that endorphins do is it really activates and stimulates your mind and gets you ready and pumped to to go and achieve. So the endorphins give you that good feel factor. And that's what you want. That's what you want when you're driving into looking for work. So, if you are feeling down, I would say use some of these tips to really help you move forward, so you can get over, that hurdle. I would say also as well, take regular breaks. Eating, drinking loads of water. Walking. You don't have to fully do exercise. Like the pull-ups and weights and all. You don't have to do that. But even a casual walk or walk to the shop, any of those things that's going to give you that sense of space and sense of, I don't know, kind of rejuvenation. Do make sure that you are doing that, because that will ultimately help you. So please do that. Okay, I see what's going on here. So I have a little thick icon that's coming up here, and it's telling me about my Wi-Fi signal. So if I am cracking up, please do forgive me. So yeah, and now that will lead me on to my topic today. And these are the five things that you should be discussing with employers. Now, ultimately, I probably would have liked to have started with maybe like interview questions, and really going over how you can tackle those interview questions. But I think I'm going to reverse engineer everything and go from the end. So the five things, and I have some notes here. I'm probably going to put it into the contents page. But if you are listening, then please do jot down some notes, because there is a lot here. So question number one is, what are the biggest challenges I'll face in the first month, and how will success be measured? Now, this is a great question to ask an employer. So all of the five questions I'm talking about, this is at the end of the interview. So again, this question is, what are the biggest challenges you'll face, biggest challenge you'll face, and in the first month, and how will success be measured? Now, what's so great about this question is you'll be demonstrating to the hiring manager that firstly, you are showing self-awareness. It also gives you the chance to address any other concerns that they may have of you. So if you're doing maybe like a sales role or a new role that you're moving into, and you're talking about the biggest challenges you'll face, generally the hiring manager will give some sort of indication where they may find you in that position. And what that allows you to do is to take full control over that part, and to almost clear that up, so that you're almost reassuring the hiring manager that you're more than capable of doing the role, and then you can add things on. I find that with interviews, it's very easy to kind of focus on one area. And sometimes the hiring manager may not be looking at that area, but you're looking at that area. So asking this question is a very, very good way to kind of gauge kind of maybe the things you haven't said, but also gauge where he is and kind of, what he or she is thinking. So that's a really, really good question to ask. And I will again be putting up these questions in the caption at the end, so that people can take that away if you haven't got a note and pad and not taking notes. So yeah. Question number two. This is a really, really good one. How does my background compare to other candidates? Now, what's really good about this question is this will give you more of an idea of who the other candidates are and how you're comparing to them. It also allows the hiring manager to see that that you are also quite competitive, and that you are confident and aware of the process that is in front of him or her who's selecting as well. So this is a really, really good question to identify your own competition. So you're able to see kind of, okay, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the other people and how you match up to them. It's also a good area to address, again, some of your weaknesses. So if you're seeing where the strengths are of the other people, and you can see that, okay, maybe, I haven't really showcased or exhibited certain skills or certain examples, this is your chance to rectify it. So again, that's another phenomenal question to ask a hiring manager. And I think, just as we're coming to the second question, I think what's really good about asking questions at the end is that it's probably one of the best times to actually really showcase your personality. I think sometimes when you're in an interview, especially when it's a panel interview or a presentation interview, you may not actually get the chance to have the conversation where it's almost where you can feel like you're taking the lead and you're almost directing the conversation according to how you feel and how you see it and kind of where you may actually be within the interview. So, these questions are really gonna position you to not only figure out where you are, but also for the hiring manager to see that you're also a strong candidate. The second question is okay. Another one. This is another point. I just going off these points here. Essentially, when it's asking about the competition part of how you're comparing with the background. So, if you don't ask this question, which is the other side of that, is if you do get through to the next round, or you are like going to progress, you may not necessarily know who else is competing against you. Also, if you don't make it to the next round, then you're not necessarily going to get the feedback that you want as well. So again, that question of how you're comparing to your competition and where you sit is a perfect way to establish, beforehand where you actually are in the hiring chain and if you're going to be one of the candidates who are going to be selected. So there's that. Okay. Now this is one of my favorite ones. I feel is obviously we've all been affected by the pandemic. All of us have been. Some of us have been on lockdown for a long time, and depending on where you are in the world, you're obviously going to be under different measures. And I feel that if you are getting interviewed, this is probably one of the best ways to kind of level with the hiring manager. So, a question would be, I understand that, every business and every person has been, affected by the pandemic. How are you doing? And, how are you, working, on overcoming in this time? And what that allows the hiring manager to see is you having empathy, which is one of the main things that I feel that is probably being implemented now as a trend in working culture and companies, with more companies talking about diversity and inclusion. At the epicenter of that is empathy. So I think this is a good way to really get that conversation going and really break things down and allow you to connect with the hiring manager. So that's a really, really good question to ask. And maybe a good one. Maybe that's probably the first question to probably ask because it allows it to really set the tone for the following questions. Another good question is this one. So reflecting on your experience, what have you seen companies do to promote diversity and inclusion? Now, the purpose of this goal is to set up a forum for the hiring manager to express their personal perspective on the company. It's also going to give you a strong indication on where the company is. Is the company forward thinking? Is the company still going through an adjustment? Or is the company maybe a lot more further behind than it needs to be in 2021. But this is also a very good question just to kind of see from the outside in what is actually happening. Now, I think with this question, it is a good question because it's almost like you're putting the person on the spot, and it is a tough question, but it's a good one because again, it will show the hiring manager that you've got that confidence and you've got that almost like you could say cheekiness to find out what's going on. But the flip side of that is for you to really understand what is really going on in the company culture. I always think the best person to ask is the person who has the least responsibilities in the organization and the company, because they were able to give you the perfect picture of what is happening in the dynamics and the work culture. So what I mean is you're asking someone who maybe is a receptionist, someone who maybe is a cleaner, someone with not much responsibility. They'll be able to tell you exactly what's happening in the dynamics and the culture of a company. So if in doubt, you do want to find out more, obviously you have things like Glassdoor, we looked at Indeed as well with the company reviews, and I think Adzuno as well do some of it. But ultimately, you want to speak to those people in those positions. And it leads me on to this question here, which I think is the most important question. Now, I think with any interview that you go for, it's very, very important that you close the interview. Now, what I mean by close the interview, you want to be able to almost coerce the hiring manager at this point of when you're questioning, where you've now gone through the questions I've said, which is genuinely going to probe him, but also it's a chance for you to showcase some other things and some other personalities that you may have not have been able to do so in the interview. But also you want to be able to clarify anything that you haven't already clarified before, and you're able to clear that up for the hiring manager so that you've now put yourself in the best position possible. And once you've done that, and you've answered all those questions, you want to close with this question. This is a must. You must always close with this question. And this question goes, are there any reservations you have about me right now? And if not, what are the next steps? This is very, very important, because now what you've done is you've now come to a rounded place where you can now end it, but also demonstrate that, yes, I am ready. And what are the next steps? Because once you do this, it's going to show confidence. You're going to give the hiring manager a chance to, again, answer any questions, but allow you to clear it up, but also allow you to show them what kind of things you're going to bring, soft skills and hard skills, the stuff we were talking about over the last few weeks, and demonstrate that and bring the value. This question is all about you showing how you can bring value. What is different about you that's going to bring value to that company? And that's what you want to do here. And then you want to show your excitement, your passion, and desire for this opportunity, and what are the next steps. I didn't mention before, but if you haven't, this is a great opportunity to start throwing questions in the comments, and I'll be able to answer those questions as and when they come, because this thing is delayed. So please do start throwing your comments into the comments, and I'll be able to answer them as we do a live Q&A afterwards. But yes, closing is one of the most important things. So please make sure that you are doing that, and you're able to really give that passion to the hiring manager, because ultimately, no matter what role it is, whether it's entry, junior, senior, they're only going to want to hire people who are passionate about the role, who see themselves growing and adding value and having a future and career at the company. And as much as things have changed, there are some things that will never change, and those things are there. So you must always close. You must always close your interview in that way. Always, always, always. And if you can, which I would say if you can, always try to close with a call to action. They call this a CTA. If you can, do that. And when I mean by call to action, you're saying, okay, what are the next steps? And, when am I going to hear from you? When? All of these things, you want to know dates and times. All these, when you specify, these things are really, really good because, again, it shows confidence. It shows that you understand the process. It shows that you are aware of the business and how to move forward. It's so good. I'm happy to what do you say? Okay, so we have a question here. Let's throw this up. Okay. So with the closing question, what do you say once they have reservation about you? That's it, exactly. So like I mentioned, once they let me keep that up. So when they have said the reservations, what you want to do is you then want to open it up, almost in the same way that you would if you're like, let's say you're on a date, someone could say your opinion, then you're just asking, okay, so what are those reservations? That's what you want to you want to be able to have a conversation, because that will allow you to draw the things out of the hiring manager, and then you can go about clearing that up. So what are the reservations you have about me? They could be like, oh, well, we think that you may be inexperienced, let's say, and then you want to then go from examples that you have. This is your chance to go from examples. So if they say you're inexperienced with account management, then you can say, well, I've had quite a massive experience of not only bringing clients in, but I have also been able to renew some contracts of the clients that I've brought in, and had additional referrals. You want to be able to add some numbers in there. So what you're doing is not only rectifying it, but you're also demonstrating that you understand and that you can see the value of that role, and how you've added value to your past experiences as well. And that will answer that reservation and obviously clear that up for the hiring manager to then be like, oh my gosh, I have overlooked this person, or, oh, I didn't know that, or, that may have not come up in the interview, but now that's being cleared. And now that you know where he is, and that you're almost at the same playing field to then actually close and move on to the next steps. So, yeah. Oh, man. Good question. Really good question. Are there any other questions? It'd be good to hear from some people, because this is some good stuff here. And I will be putting this up in the content page so that it is a lot more clearer. I did have some problems putting it onto the interface, but we're here, and that's all that matters. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe to my channel, Vice Versa Talent. If you haven't shared it, please share the video, especially with families, loved ones who are in need and who need support and help as they're going through this transition from either going into work, back to work, or moving into a new opportunity. Do share this with them. And if there aren't any other more questions, and I'm sure there is, as there is. All right. Okay. Yes. Can I ask if they can tell me about the person I would be reporting to? Yep. So again, that is another good question to ask the employer, because I always find that when I've been in interviews and I've heard interviews, and when they generally say this, it allows you to kind of get a understanding of the dynamic of the working culture. You get to see the lines of communication, and also it's like you're almost confidently to be like, okay, who am I going to be? Like, I'm already there. I'm a person who I believe that you can like almost speak things into existence. I am a firm believer of that. And I feel like that is definitely, something where you're now putting yourself, so, oh, who will I be reporting to? it shows confidence. It really does. It really shows confidence, almost like an audacity that, yeah, like I'm your guy. And you know, you want that. You want that because at the end of the day, as you know, as things may be, you are competing with somebody else. That's just the reality. You are competing with somebody else, and you know, things like that is going to make you stand out, and you want to be remembered. You want the hiring manager or whoever else is on the panel to be like, you know what, there's something about this person. There's something about this person. They may not have this skills as that other person, but you know, they have something. So that is a really good question to ask. As it's that question that really puts you and sets you aside. Are there any other questions? All right. I didn't put it in. Sorry, guys. I didn't put it in. I should have put it in. Woo! Come on. Anybody else? All righty. Okay. I appreciate you. Yeah. Come on. Gotta get a fade like this. Come on. You have to look fresh to death for you guys. You know how I like to perform for you guys. So, you know, it's nothing but a G thing. So yeah. But yeah, if there aren't any more other questions, then you know, I want to thank you all for all participating, listening, and partaking with me. I will be going on to other things, as I will be focusing predominantly on interviews for the next few weeks. And yeah, I appreciate you all. Again, if you haven't done so, hit the like, subscribe, and share. All right, guys. As for me, your host, Simon Omishoye, thank you, good night, and God bless. Do take care.